Thank you for joining this discussion on forming servant leaders, supporting all educators through the Servant Leadership Institute at Concordia University Irvine. We live in an era where leadership is often defined by power, visibility, and individual achievement. But what if we reframed that? What if we focused on cultivating leaders of character and conviction? At Concordia University Irvine, our Servant Leadership Institute offers a compelling alternative, a leadership model that prioritizes the virtues of humility, compassion, honesty, and courage. The Servant Leadership Institute was established in 2022 through a generous grant from the Kern Foundation. Our mission is to develop leaders who understand that leadership is fundamentally a calling to serve others. We operate on the premise that true leadership isn't about your title or position, but about your influence through virtuous dealings with students, colleagues, and the community. Our work is inspired by Robert Greenleaf's classic definition of servant leadership, but we place it firmly within an educational context and align it with the ultimate model of service, Christ's call to not be served, but to serve. To ground our work, we developed a comprehensive framework. As you can see, servant leadership is at the very core. This is supported by the 4 key virtues: humility, honesty, compassion, and courage. These virtues are put into action through 4 essential skills. A servant leader creates a vision, builds relationships, empowers others, and motivates excellence. Finally, this entire framework aligns and supports Concordia University's mission to develop students who are wise, honorable, and committed to lifelong learning. Our motto, "Live Your Calling," is a call to put this model into action. Let's briefly define these foundational virtues. Humility. Humility is an inherent focus on others. It's not thinking less of yourself, but thinking of yourself less. As we humble servant leaders look past, not down, on themselves. Compassion is more than just a feeling. It is empathy combined with action. A servant leader moves past an emotional response to take compassionate action on behalf of others. Honesty is about speaking the truth in love. It is a responsibility we have to others that involves both intellectual and relational elements. And finally, courage. Courage involves seeing a need, accepting the inherent risk, and making a willing sacrifice for a moral purpose. We don't just talk about these virtues. We actively cultivate them through several key initiatives, both internally with our own team and through external outreach to the broader educational community. Internal support. To ensure servant leadership is truly transformative, it must be modeled authentically by our faculty and staff. That is why we are engaged in a multi-year capacity building initiative, moving from theory to practice in our own professional lives. This commitment ensures servant leadership is not just part of our curriculum, but the very fabric of our culture. In our first year, we focused on deep personal reflection, meeting in small groups to develop how each of the 4 virtues applies to us personally and professionally. To ensure servant leadership is embedded into our program, we have systematically integrated a series of virtue-specific videos across all School of Education courses. While every program uses the same core videos, each one has developed unique discussion prompts and reflection assignments tailored to the specific career and educational level of its candidates. This year, we returned to the deep application by applying that foundational knowledge we learned in year one to practical scenario-based training, ensuring we can authentically guide our students through the complexities of leading through service. External outreach. Our Educational Leadership Academies are 9-month intensive programs for K-12 educators, complete with in-person conferences and professional leadership coaching to help school teams achieve specific, measurable outcomes. Unique to our institute is the High School Leadership Academy, a week-long campus experience that equips students in grades 10 through 12 with the skills to be servant leaders in their schools and communities. To date, 3 cohorts totaling approximately 170 students have completed this program and have been sent back into their schools equipped to lead. We also hold servant leadership symposia for both public and private K-12 school professionals, featuring distinguished leaders from education, business, and athletics, covering topics like building trust and motivating excellence. And to provide continuous support, our Perfecting the Practice blog offers free accessible articles on servant leadership from our faculty, adjunct instructors, and graduates, sharing valuable research and practical experience. A cornerstone of our institute is our assessment first approach. We dedicated 3 years to creating, piloting, and validating a 28-item empirical measurement tool. This scale allows us to gather pre- and post-program data on student growth in their knowledge of servant leadership with subscales for each of the 4 virtues. This data is invaluable. It ensures we are all working from a consistent, grounded definition of servant leadership and allows our program directors to make targeted adjustments to curriculum to better serve our students. In a time when leadership can feel reduced to charisma and control, the Servant Leadership Institute offers an others-first approach that we believe has timeless relevance. And so, my invitation to you today is to consider this question. How can these principles of servant leadership, rooted in humility, compassion, honesty, and courage, be taught, lived, and cultivated within your own educational context? Whether you are a faith-based institution or a secular campus, these principles offer a powerful framework for forming leaders of true character and conviction. Thank you for your time and for engaging in this important conversation. We're happy to engage in conversation with you about this leadership model.